Hello and welcome back to another episode of Biblical Unlocks. Today we're going to be going through a chapter of the Bible and helping it make sense in your life today. Studies routinely show that reading your Bible regularly significantly lowers symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, whilst also increasing compassion, forgiveness, and a sense of purpose. So if you enjoy episodes like this, please consider following and rating the show. It's free, it helps me out a lot, and you can always change your mind later. And today we're going to be going through Exodus chapter 30. So we're about 75% of the way through Exodus, and even if you haven't seen any of the previous episodes, please don't worry, because we're going to go through everything here, and I'm going to provide you a little bit of context so that you can understand. So the key things from this chapter is that you have to remember that formation takes time, that the priestly ministry that you're serving is representative, you serve the people's need, and the end is God's dwelling. That is, God will dwell amongst all of us. Okay, so this is something I really want to hone in on in this particular chapter. So, without further ado, let's get into Exodus chapter 30. You shall make an altar on which to offer incense. You shall make it of acacia wood. It shall be 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide. It shall be square and shall be 2 cubits high. Its horns shall be one piece with it. You shall overlay it with pure gold, its top and its sides all around its horns. You shall make for it a molding of gold all around, and you shall make 2 golden rings for it under its molding on 2 opposite sides of it. You shall make of them, and they shall hold the poles for carrying it. You shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. You shall place it in front of the curtain that is above the ark of the covenant, in front of the cover that is over the covenant, where I will meet with you. Aaron shall offer fragrant incense on it. Every morning when he dresses the lamps, he shall offer it, and when Aaron sets up the lamps in the evening, he shall offer it. A regular incense offering before the Lord throughout your generations. You shall not offer unholy incense on it, or a burnt offering, or a grain offering, and you shall not pour a drink offering on it. Once a year Aaron shall perform the rite of atonement on its horns. Throughout your generations he shall perform the atonement for it once a year with the blood of the atoning purification offering. It is most holy to the Lord. Verse 11. The Lord spoke to Moses, when you take a census of the Israelites to gather them, at registration all of them shall give a ransom for their lives to the Lord, so that no plague may come upon them for being registered. This is what each one who is registered shall give: half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs, half a shekel as an offering to the Lord. Each one who is registered from 20 years old and up shall give the Lord's offering. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel. When you bring this offering to the Lord to make atonement for your lives, you shall take the atonement money from the Israelites and shall designate it for the service of the tent of meeting. Before the Lord it will be a reminder to the Israelites of the ransom given for your lives. Verse 17. The Lord spoke to Moses, you shall make a bronze basin with a bronze stand for washing. You shall put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and you shall put water in it. With the water, Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet. When they go into the tent of meeting, or when they come near the altar to minister to make an offering by fire to the Lord, they shall wash with water, so that they may not die. They shall wash their hands and their feet, so that they may not die. It shall be a perpetual ordinance for them, for him and for his descendants throughout their generations. Verse 22. The Lord spoke to Moses, take the finest spices of liquid myrrh 500 shekels, and of sweet-smelling cinnamon half as much, that is 250, and 250 of aromatic cane, and 500 of cassia, measured by the sanctuary shekel, and a hin of olive oil. And you shall make of these a sacred anointing oil, blended as by the perfumer. It shall be a holy anointing oil. With it you shall anoint the tent of meeting, and the ark of the covenant, and the table and all its utensils, and the lampstand, and its utensils, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering, with all its utensils, and the basin with its stand. You shall consecrate them, so that they may be most holy. Whatever touches them will become holy. You shall anoint Aaron and his sons, and consecrate them to serve me as priests. You shall say to the Israelites, This shall be my holy anointing oil throughout your generations. It shall not be used in any ordinary anointing of the body, and you shall make no other like it in composition. It is holy, and it shall be holy to you. Whoever blends any like it, or whoever puts any of it on an unqualified person, shall be cut off from the people. Verse 34. Take sweet spices, stacte, and onycha, and galbanum, sweet spices with pure frankincense, an equal part of each, and make an incense blended as by the perfumer, seasoned with salt, pure and holy. And you shall beat some of it into a powder, and put part of it before the covenant in the tent of meeting, where I shall meet with you. It shall be most holy for you. When you make incense according to this composition, you shall not make it for yourselves. It shall be regarded by you as holy to the Lord. Whoever makes any like it to use as perfume shall be cut off from the people. Alright, and we're back in business for some deep biblical unlocks. From verses 1 to 10, the focus was the altar of incense. How do you design it? How do you use it? And the prohibition of certain strange incense, right? And in verses 1 to 10, God commands that a small altar of incense made with acacia wood, overlaid with gold, with horns and rings for poles, to stand before the veil, just outside the Holy of Holies. And Aaron was to burn fragrant incense on it every morning when he dresses the lamps, and every evening when he lights them. He must not offer strange or profane incense on it, nor pour ordinary drink offerings on it. If anyone makes incense like this for personal use, they will be cut off. Now, why does this matter? Because the incense, the prayer and intercession here, represents biblical imagery that ties incense to prayer. So the altar of incense actually shapes priestly intercession, and its presence here is actually related to other places in the Bible. We have some cross-references that are going on here. Psalm 141:2, Revelation 5:8. Revelation 5:8 we've already read. We saw how the prayers of the saints rises up. We also saw that incense is important during the rising up of the prayers of the saints as they come up to heaven. Location and mediation is another important thing. It's placed before the veil, right? It's placed before the veil and the Ark of the Covenant. What does that mean? Is that this is the regular priestly presentation of Israel's request at the threshold of divine presence. At the threshold, just before we see the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy of Holies, but it's before that. It's before this place. The incense is actually a part of regular worship and sacrifice at the altar. But prohibition. There was a prohibition of certain strange incenses. So worship must be offered in the form God prescribes. That is, when you try and change things, when you treat holy rites as commodities, when you use your own personal flavor and touches, that is forbidden. So the boundary here actually protects the nature of the worship that is being offered to God. So God only allows a certain type of worship to be given to him. Only a certain type of worship. Not any type of worship, but a particular type. So from verses 11 to 16, what do we see? When numbering the people, right? So we saw census money, half shekel, atonement, the shekels, all of this stuff. It may have rang a bell. When numbering the people, God forbids a census that treats people as property. Instead, each person 20 years and older gives half a shekel as an atonement for their life when counted. The money is collected and used for the service of the tent of meeting, and a ransom/maintenance that equalizes the rich and the poor. Why? Because this is the verse to remember. In verse 15 it's written, "The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less." So atonement when counting people, right? And counting people in a certain sense tends to objectify them because you're treating them as if you would treat livestock or personal possessions. So when you attach atonement, you're attaching a ransom. It actually helps to acknowledge their worth. And the risk of treating human beings as mere numbers is at least minimally alleviated. The gift says, I am not merely property to be counted. My life is consecrated. Okay, so that's what the half shekel atonement. They give half shekel as an atonement for their life when counted, because it atones or counts for their life. It says, this is my life here. This is not merely a number. So not merely a number, but then we also see that the half shekel is provided by everyone. That is, it's uniform. Everyone gives a half shekel. This level status, and everyone is equally accountable and equally responsible for the house of God. And it actually resists class privilege in worship. Levels the playing field, saying everyone is worth the same in the eyes of God. Everyone has an immortal soul. And the funds, which are going to be gathered to use for the census, but is also going to be turned into communal upkeep. That is, it's going to support the tabernacle services, the maintenance, utensils, and also keeping the sacred public. In verses 17 to 21, Moses is told to make a bronze basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and with its bronze stand, Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet when they enter the tent or when they come near the altar, so that they do not die. That is to say, this point is actually a ritualistic place where washing can be done. You are washed so that you are pure before you enter your ministry. So it's a physical sign. Washing is external, but it actually signifies the required internal purity and communal holiness that is required before service. And it's actually a body discipline. That is to say, it guards his life. Failure to wash yourself risks death in this particular narrative. And then we also see that ministry requires preparation. That is, you must be cleansed of your iniquity. You need to be washed of all the things that endanger you, or all of these things, right? You need to be washed of so that you may be ready to serve. And the basin actually marks a habit of stopping, cleansing, and then serving. Okay, and then finally in verses 22 to 33, we see some detailed recipes. For the anointing oil, we see you need myrrh, cinnamon, fragrant cane, cassia, and olive oil to be used to anoint the tent, ark, table, lampstand, altar, and priests. You also have holy incense, composed of stacte, onycha, galbanum, and pure frankincense, which all need to be carefully measured. And then God commands that these recipes be wholly exclusive, not to be copied or used privately. Anyone who makes similar blends are actually going to be cut off from the people. Interesting, right? Some of the anointing oil, the frankincense, all of this stuff here, the holy incense, rings a bell because this is typically observed in Catholic churches. You'll see anointing oil and holy incense, and this comes right from the Exodus story. Even the shape of the Eucharist in the Catholic Church comes from the story of the Exodus, right? So the manna that came down from heaven came in the form of these like wafer type things, white wafers, and that's why the Holy Eucharist takes that shape and color and texture. So the anointing oil represents the consecration and presence. That is, the oil marks objects and people as set apart for God. And anointing designated several sacred functions and protects that function from profanity, that is, it being profaned. And then we had the incense formula. This is actually related to sensory theology. So you'll notice that with the incense formula, it's a prescribed fragrance, right, which involves stacte, onycha, galbanum, and pure frankincense. You may recall pure frankincense. That was one of the gifts given to the Lord during the Christmas story, which is actually going to happen very soon. But what it shows is that worship involves all of our senses and our bodies fully present. So that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help you keep up your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. I upload daily, so if you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode, feel free to rate the show and follow. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And always remember, if you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed.